Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Joe St. John is the Vice President of Training at AutoFi and always brings the fire to this event. Joe, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Ted Ings, my dude, it is Fixed Ops Roundtable Day. It is, bro, I look forward to this. Like, the conversations and the things I learn on the Fixed Ops Roundtable are unbelievable. Like, what we get into here, like, if you're missing out on Fixed Ops Roundtable, you are missing out. This is the day, man. We are doing it. I mean, the speakers you have, the content that get dropped, it is literally straight fire. It is knowledge bombs from the beginning to the end. It is nothing but the best. And I am so stoked to be here, Ted.
Joe, I am thinking back to the day that you were on stage in Las Vegas. It was early in 2020, probably the last physical conference anybody did for quite some time, and how you were talking about the transformation of what was happening in the way that we acquire things, the speed at which we do it, the expectation of the consumer. So I want to kind of bring us fast forward up to speed. Here we are the week before Thanksgiving, coming into the holidays, end of 2022, New Year just around the corner. What are some of the things, Joe, that you are seeing and happening and we should be aware of?
Well, I think there's so much going on in our industry right now, Ted, right? Like in 2020, we were talking about the speed of action and the transparency that a customer expects in every purchase today, right? If you access a pizza, you can literally see who's making that pizza, right? The status of that pizza being made, when that pizza is being delivered to you, who's delivering that pizza, what time you should expect it. And you've got like military grade satellite tracking on that pizza coming to your doorstep. And that's the expectations of consumers today, whether they're buying a car, getting a car serviced, getting a major repair on a car. What customers look for in every transaction today is what's happening. How can I stay informed? What are my expectations? How can I follow along? How do I know what's happening? And how does it happen in a time frame that meets what a realistic expectation should be that was set early with me in the process? That has not changed. That is literally getting more and more and more intense by the day as we access more and more things that way. And what you're seeing is that consumers are moving that direction. And so what we're really starting to see is dealers moving that direction. Right? We're seeing dealers that are recognizing, not for some like frou-frou reason of, oh, it's customer experience. No, really for a very capitalist reason of it actually makes financial sense. I was just at a meeting with some really amazing thought leaders. I was with the NCM and Associates, Paul, their CEO, and we were literally putting on the board and drawing out why streamlining your experience for a consumer actually increases efficiencies inside of a dealership, right? I was at Richmond Ford with Kayla Cody, who is just an amazing thinker in this business. And they have a team of people that are using AutoFi technology as a really streamlined and simplified point of sale, like checkout, in-store, out-of-store, no matter where. And those salespeople are selling an extra 3 units a month versus everybody else at the dealership. They've got a small team. They're averaging almost $700 more in front to back gross profit. And for me as a former GM, I go, okay, if I can get more of my employees, more of my team, more of my partners and my associates and the people I work with to work smarter, not harder, right? They're on a 4-day work week over there. It's amazing. If I can get my people to actually engage in work, high productive work when they're at the dealership, I can increase efficiencies and I can increase that thing that we all care about at the big office, which is that net profitability. And so for us, we're really starting to see dealers take an operational focus on getting the net profitability. And I think that's because of the shifts that are happening in the marketplace that are changing very dynamically and at a rate I've never seen before.
Yeah. Things are changing in the sales market, in the new vehicle market. Joe, that used vehicle market, we never talked about reconditioning the way we do today at a Fixed Ops Roundtable. Today, we have a number of panels and topics. Used car managers, reconditioning, Fixed Ops managers want to know what's going on because that speed to front line, Joe, has never been more important than it is right now.
Well, and inventory levels aren't changing. Now, what you're seeing is this crazy shift in the value point of those used vehicles I've never seen it like this. I was literally at a dealership yesterday and I was like, hey, are you seeing prices falling at the auction? They're like, we're not really seeing like prices falling. We're seeing the Manheim drop. We're seeing lots of no sells. We're seeing lots of cars go to the auction that then get a bid, but then don't get sold because it hasn't reached that level of like the minimum reserve necessary for the dealer to say, sure, go ahead and sell that vehicle. And so what we're starting to see is really that kind of like leading edge of that used car market showing those real signs of shift. When that shift happens, the downstream impact of that is the way that we think about reconditioning and making sure that the vehicles that we have on our lot are the right vehicles at the right mix with the right level of like shine on them to actually be able to be the attractant to that customer in the marketplace to get them in. And so what you're seeing right now is one of the fastest shifts I've ever seen in the like transaction price, like the market price on both new cars and used cars. And you're starting to hear that more and more when you're out in the field. When you're at dealerships, they're thinking now more about recon. They're thinking now about, hey, I've got to get back to high levels of discipline in my used car inventory because of the volatility of the price point, which means I've got to get better at getting that car out of my front line fast. And I don't have the liberty because used car prices are up here to let that thing sit in the service department for 5, 6, 7, 8 days. I need it in, I need it ready, and I need it back out here so that we can get to work on it.
Tully always talks about the hours, the importance of the hours at the dealership, the labor side, and the service department. Joe, the technology that you have brought to market with AutoFi in the last 2, 3, 4 years is now expected by the consumer. And we're seeing that happening on the service side so that we can sell more hours, make our techs more efficient, and truly give the customer, I mean, for the right reasons, a better experience on the fixed op side.
Yeah, it's the same game, right? Like on the service and parts and the whole fixed op side, body shop, all of it. The game is like take great care of the customers and the customers will take great care of you, right? Like the game is meet or exceed the customer's expectations and those customers will meet and exceed your expectations. I love the quote from Jeff Bezos, right? There is never any misalignment between customer interest and shareholder interest. That's true whether you're selling deodorant online where it hits a button and it shows up at your house, or you're selling $60,000 pickup trucks out front, or you're selling service and maintenance and parts through the dealership. The game is the exact same. It's how do we make sure that the customer gets an experience that it exceeds their expectations and delivers for them something of real meaningful value? What do customers want when they get a service? Like when they're getting a vehicle service, what do they want? Ted, they want to know what's going on. They want real, like they want to like have expectations. They want to know, they want information. They want that consultative, like doctor-like experience of like, okay, we figured out what happened. It looks like a squirrel chewed through this. Like they want to know what's going on and they want to know real expectations and they want guidance through that process in a way that's transparent and doesn't feel like what it can feel like when you show up, your car goes in the back and then it disappears and you hear nothing for a couple of hours. And so what you're seeing is that technology is evolving to help dealers deliver that experience in a way that I see it on the sales side, right? I spent 3 days selling cars in Valencia, California, using a digital checkout process instead of a traditional pencil. And what I saw was the customers trust the technology. I would literally turn and go, all right, this is the car we just drove. Let's double check the stock numbers. Yeah, that's right. Is this the vehicle you'd like to own? And they would go, yep, that's the vehicle. And I go, great. Then let's build your deal together. And we would build the deal. And I go, okay, we had $5,000 down at 2.9 for 60 months or at a 685 payment. Is that about what you were thinking? And people are like, yeah, go to 72. Let's look at 650. And you have this kind of collaborative, consultative approach to it where because it's not me versus them, it's us working together with this technology. There's so much more engaged in the process. And you're starting to see, unbelievable advisors have done that forever, right? When I think about the RIM process and the approaches that we have and being able to review that multi-point inspection together, great advisors do that. What's cool is that instead of using a sheet of paper, you're starting to see more and more tools that enable that collaborative approach through technology that the customer trusts more than they trust my sheet of paper and Sharpie.
Joe, the technician is now looking at the car and sending you, the customer, a text video to your home saying, hey, I'm Ted. I'm the tech. I just looked at your car and let's go through it together, and doing a video MPI inspection, telling you about the tread on your tires, telling you about your brakes, going through everything that we discussed and sending you that video. Joe, the consumer trusts that. They expect that now, and they approve the work a lot quicker and at a higher rate.
Ted, that's what I want. I want that when I'm getting a pizza made, right? Like that's what I expect. Like that's what I want. I don't want to show up, have no idea, my car disappears somewhere, and then nobody talks to me for a while. I want to like drop my car off or have my car picked up. I want to be at home. I want to take care of what I'm doing. And I want that text message that hits my phone and I go, oh, okay, well, and now I'm watching and engaged, and they're underneath there and they're pointing at what's going on and they're explaining it. To me, that makes not only me feel confident in the decision I'm making, but it helps me to understand how that decision impacts all the other decisions. Because what you see in those videos, Ted, and I've seen it firsthand, is the technician going, okay, now if you can probably still drive with this, but no, if this doesn't get taken care of, then you see this that's linked and this that's linked and all these other pieces, there's a whole lot more that can go wrong. So let's go ahead and take this. Like it feels like my knee surgeon talking about my meniscus and why if I can get my meniscus fixed before it actually like blows out, it can save me a whole lot in the future, and it can get me back on the mats faster, and it can like actually make my life better. And that sort of kind of consultative approach, I think that there's this huge fear, right? Like let's call it what it is, right? I think that people hear, especially in auto, right? On the variable ops side, you hear digital, and immediately it's like an internet department thing. Let's go ahead and put it in the internet. Oh, digital retail. Let's put it in the internet department. I think when we hear digital, we have kind of this like visceral response of like, oh no, the robots are coming, right? Oh, they're like, and what you actually see, I've seen it firsthand on the variable ops side, right? Like what you actually see is people that are sales managers that go, no, I'm a sales manager now because that technology unlocked my capacity to sell my way. I was about to quit selling cars. And then I realized I wasn't bad at selling cars. I was bad at selling cars this way. And when I had this technology that allowed me to go my way, I went from 12 units a month to 19 units a month. And then I got to 24 units a month. And because of that, I charted a path down a career ways. Technology should be empowering people to be really great at what they do. And what they do is actually deliver value to the customer. I stay at hotels all the time. I typically check in through my phone, but when I get there, they greet me and they take care of me and they hand me a bottle of water. And I go, oh man, I love this hotel. I'm going to stay here next time I'm in this town. And I think that's what great people can do. They can look at, as an advisor, this technology isn't replacing me. It's empowering me to become like my favorite superhero from the Marvel universe, Iron Man. Why? Because he's just a dude. Like he's really rich, really smart, but he's a normal human being. He doesn't have like, space infused superpowers. He is a normal human, and through the like use of technology, turned himself into something that could do way more than that normal human could do by himself. And for me, that's what service advisors and salespeople and parts counter people and everybody can do. And that's what this revolution should really be about.
Joe, the consumer is now involved in the front end, in the sale of the vehicle, the finance, and they're involved in the servicing. We're talking about it right now. The technology has enabled them. We've got a huge lineup coming up these 3 days, Joe. A lot of people talking today. In the time we've got left, we've got next week is Thanksgiving, Joe, and then we got about 6 weeks left in the year. What do we need to be focused on for the remainder of this year and going into next year in automotive retail?
Training, and training. I when it comes to like technology, it's only as good as people's capacity to use it to execute against what they're doing. A friend of mine's daughter works at Chick-fil-A, and she's so excited. It's her first job. She goes to work at Chick-fil-A. She's taking orders. There's a UX. It's got pictures. That's how simple it is. You don't even have to be able to read. It's got pictures of what they're ordering, and you hit it. 6 weeks of training before she could ever talk to a customer with
Chick-fil-A.
that simple layer of technology. How many weeks of training has your service advisors done? How many hours of training in the last 2 months have your service advisors done? Right? We are only as good as our skill sets. And what I believe is the more we focus at improving those skill sets, the better our outcomes are. And so through the end of this year, look, nobody knows what the market's going to do. It's crazy. Interest rates are up. Demand on cars is coming. Like there's all of these things out there. all of that stuff I can't control, right? I can't control whether somebody wants to sell a car, trade a car, buy a car, fix a car. I can't control. What I can control is how good is Joe St. John at doing the job that I'm set out to do. And as a person whose job is VP of training, I think that everybody at every dealership through the end of the year should be focusing on really maximizing their skill sets going into 2023, so that when we go into 2023, no matter what the market chooses to do, no matter what happens out there, I can be the best I can possibly be at responding to it.
Joe, thank you for kicking off our event today. You always bring the fire. We got a great cause. Joe, this is the 18th Fixed Ops Roundtable. Dare to Dream, great cause. Got the QR code, everybody.
Yep, you got to hit that QR code.
Take out your phones. That goes to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Dare to Dream, Joe. It's the Children's Project, special for them as well. So, Joe, thank you. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Happy Thanksgiving to you, Ted.
And thank you for all you do for our industry, Joe.
Thank you, Ted Ings. I'm so honored to be a part of this amazing event. Thanks for having me on, man.
Joe St. John here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Peace. See you, Ted.